hit the streaming button, and I'm gonna do that right now so I can keep my promise of being on at 10 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, PST. So here we go. Welcome, Shift Crew, Empath Nation, to the Obsidian Blade Medicine Hour. If you are catching this live or on the replay, what's up? We need to dive into the new moon energies and the partial eclipse that has been going on, and to be in alignment with ourselves. And that's what we really represent here. That's really the name of the game as we transition from the fifth sun to the sixth sun, or age of Pisces to age of Aquarius. There is a world outside of us, and it's slowly phasing out, but it's not quite there yet. It's gonna, and I think, when we look at the progress of technology, or the progress of, how we've been communicating, how we've been getting in touch with ourselves, it follows that exponential curve. And so trusting that also this transition that we're going through is going to be following that same rapid exponential curve. So if we take a look at the last, say what's just been happening since the 1960s, as far as people getting in touch with their truth, as opposed to following the way it's always been done, that's going like this. And, technology, as much as people want to kind of bash it here and there, it's been really a tool that's allowed us to say, you know what, we can actually strike out on our own. We don't need to please anybody. We can find our crew. We can find our Empath Nation, and we can rise up on our own terms. We can be in tune with not only our truths, but we can reclaim that ability to be in tune with the Mother Earth herself. As indigenous wisdom will guide us back, we are her children. We are the dream of the mother. And so, what we're facing with this new moon, and what we're facing with what has been brought up with the eclipse, Mars in retrograde. Again, I'm not a pro astrologer. I'm tuning in, like all of you, to be like, okay, what's going on with the rhythm of these larger bodies that are having an impact on us, as well as, the evolution of Mother Earth herself. She's going through her own transition, and we are along for the ride as we clean up our act as well. So there can be this problem of what you know to be true in your heart, yet you're still swimming deep in the culture of what I call the culture of the pyramid, the culture of the top-down control, and the frustration that in an overly externalized world, in order to go where you want, as it has been previously set up, you have to make someone outside of you happy, be that an institution, a boss, a parent, family member. Sometimes it's the people we're in, deep relationship with. We have this setup where we have been trained to be out of integrity with ourselves in order to please someone else or please something else, so that we, in a weird roundabout way, get what we want, or kind of get what we want. And what this is bringing up, what this new moon is bringing up, hey, Wildfire, what the new moon is bringing up is that it is time to no longer negotiate. There's that phrase the government says, or the police say, like, we don't negotiate with terrorists. I don't negotiate with the old world. I don't negotiate with the pyramid system. I align with the Aquarian energies that we are equals, and we are all living in a circle together on an even Steven plane of existence. So again, being out of alignment is the theme of what we're dealing with. And this is the struggle that we all face within ourselves. This is the struggle where we have an inner truth, but then there's an outer reality right now. There's and reality in the third dimensional realm deals with physics, right? So you heard this phrase, mass equals momentum. So if we're steering this ship in a new direction, we have to be gentle on ourselves that there is a pre-existing mass and momentum going in a certain direction of the way it's been done. But we all understand that the way it's been done is now completely up for grabs. It's, you know, its purpose is outdated. So being in integrity with yourself is both the opportunity and the struggle. So how do we do that? How do we become in alignment with ourselves? What does that even take? What are the methods? What is the way that we do that? And, you know, do we continue to compromise who we are in order to work with this externalized system as it currently exists? Or do we have access to these Aquarian age energies? Is it time to switch over in your own life? Can you make the switch to being full-time, self-employed in the Aquarian age? Or as the Toltec Mexica would recognize in their timing of it, what they call the sixth sun. So, you know, are we ready to be over there, and can we live in that new paradigm without it, without us being kind of, like I said, continually sucked down in the pre-existing momentum of the old world? As that momentum is beginning to slow down or break apart, or as more and more people, right, just say, you know what, I don't need any of this. Why would I need? Who gives a shit about Brexit? Who gives a shit about the royals? Who gives a shit about the governments? You know, yet we have to really look out for that mentality where we continue to believe that something outside of us, that we need to combat something outside of us in order to be who we are. Because if we continue to believe that we have to compromise ourselves or be who we are, or negotiate with something outside of us to be who we are, then we get into a state of victim, tyrant, back and forth, and that's no good. So let's take a look at how we can, you know, not compromise who we are, and to figure out, like, what does it take to be in alignment with yourself, even more than you have before. So before we dive into that, just want to show on the YouTube live, if you haven't hit subscribed, please do so. Hit the notifications bell. I'm going live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, you can catch this video live or on the replay. And the audio from this episode and all the episodes of the Obsidian Blade Medicine Hour are taken out of the video, cleaned up, and put on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. So please subscribe to the podcast if you haven't done so already. And again, you can go to theobsidianblade.com/subscribe and catch all the links to that, or the links to those services will be below this video. And let me switch out that giant graphic for the more subtle graphic. So if you're new to this channel, if you're coming across me for the first time, here's what we do. As empaths, healers, and creators blossoming into our full abilities, we navigate the exit of the crumbling matrix slave system, aka the land of the dead and all its trials and tribulations. And we, through the exploration and cleansing of your shadow side, so that you come back to life and become the shift to live in your full power on New Earth in the light of the sixth sun star system. So I've got the maps. We are the crew. Let's dive into this and get this handled. So again, looking at integrity, being in the vibration of who you are in a world that is still fighting for control, or we still have, that's the tough thing of being in the gap between the Piscean age and the Aquarian age. We're in the gap. 1 foot's over here and 1 foot is over here. And so just be sure it doesn't split apart too far, else you're going to have some pain in your crotch. But at a certain point, you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to make the leap or deny all the things that are coming up for you and stay in the old world. And I'll tell you, Source doesn't judge. That's a harsh teacher, I'll tell you, Source. Source doesn't judge. At this momentous point in time, you actually could stay in the old world and not progress. And Source wouldn't judge you. Source would be like, okay, cool. You still feel like you need externalized power systems. You still feel like you need to be told what to do or to not remember that you are the power that's engaging with this in the first place. And it only becomes alive when you take your power to engage with it. So, God, Source don't judge on that. But if you want to jump over to the light of the sixth sun or New Earth or the Aquarian age, it is time to be in integrity. In integrity with who you have known yourself to be, the truth of who you really are. And I know this crew is already up to speed with being in touch with that. But what I want to hear is, where have you found difficulty in that jumping back and forth between the system that still currently exists, yet all the possibility of where we could go in the Aquarian age? So what is the work that you need to do to be who you really are versus being out of alignment with yourself? I'm finding that there is this assumption that we have about the world that we've been in. It's like an internalized model of reality that then gets externalized. And it's like we're playing by somebody else's rules at all times. And I find myself checking in with myself that somehow I'm predisposed, I'm already pre-enrolled to living in compromise. That there's like an inner mental agreement that I have to negotiate with others in order to do what I want to do or feel what I want to feel, or that there's like a sort of level of, again, checking in with the way it's been done. And we're really sitting at this precipice where we are completely supported to do it any way we want to. And how we're going to stay there in a permanent state, so we're not jumping back and forth between that gap, is to do that deep, deep inner energy work, shadow cleansing, meditation, where we are finding out where we made those previous agreements. There's that book, The Four Agreements. Yeah, don't forget. Yeah, that's great. But don't forget about the 64,000 inner agreements you've already made that compromise your integrity with being who you really are. So I'm going to write a book called The 64,000 Inner Agreements. And you better believe, if we want to move forward, we've got to handle that shit pretty quick. If you want to make the jump across the gap. So, if you want some light reading, get my book that doesn't exist yet called The Inner 64,000 Agreements. Because it's all those little things that add up, right? It's all the little things that add up. We can see that in our own bank account, right? It's the little things that deplete your bank account. It's all the times you go for coffee or the sandwich there or, the magazine here and there, whatever. Those tiny little purchases end up being thousands of dollars at the end of the year. Just think about your own inner thinking. Those are like small purchases that over time add up. And so we must get into that place of feeling what's true to you. What is true to you? And I feel like the opportunity that we're coming into right now is that there is a whole level of human expression, a whole level of human diversity, a whole level of dynamic expression that we haven't even touched upon, because the description of what it means to be a human has been a human in compromise. The description of what it means to be human so far has been a human in compromise. That is something to really, really awaken to. Not only the external negotiation game with the pyramid power structures, but the image of the human itself has been won out of power. I'll say it again. The image of the human so far has been won out of power. And an image of a human out of power, who does that really serve in the end? It serves a system that gets pretty fucking high off the supply that you deliver to it, right? Just like in the Matrix, it's like the Neo and all the other human beings are just like batteries for the artificial intelligence, right? So do you want to be a battery that gives away your power inherent to the system that does not even model what a human being really is? And that's part of our mission right now. That's part of our destiny, is to reclaim the full description, the full access to what a human being is. So right now, you and I together are redefining humanity. We are redefining our humanity. And you know, one could say that the age of the sixth sun, or the Aquarian age, is the age where we are becoming beings that handle energy directly in a larger way. And that means, fortunately, there's this thing called movies and entertainment, where we see superheroes doing things. That's where we're headed. Either be it the Harry Potter movies, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, whatever it is, it's reminding you that we once did it one way, and we can actually reclaim that old way again, which is energy, power, magic. Magic is the technology of the sixth sun. Magic is the main technology of the Aquarian age. And when we redefine our human existence, turns out we're connected to life. Turns out that when we connect with life, which means connecting with the mother is then connected to the sun, right? The Mother Earth doesn't exist without the sun. So if you and I connect to ourselves, which then connects to the earth, we're then connecting to the sun. And then the sun is connecting to the other larger central sun systems that it is gravitationally, energetically attached to. And then when you multiply that, turns out we're all connected. This whole thing's connected. Pretty sticky web of existence. And that I believe in my heart that reclaiming what it means to be human means having access, sensational access to the biology of existence. And that we are like cells or organisms and within another larger organism. And when we are out of quarantine, we're out of galactic quarantine because we've handled our shit and we're no longer projecting it outside of ourselves and living in our own hell that we had a hand in creating. Once we stop that game, then we're out of quarantine. And then when we're out of quarantine, we're allowed to traverse the larger body of existence, which in the end is us, because we are source, the very same thing that creates ourselves and then views ourselves from across the room. But that's where we're headed. And The definition of a human being is one who can navigate existence with great power. The full definition of a human being is one who can handle energy and create systems of experience aligned with life. That's the fun that we're getting into. And again, I love to say, you think you need to get a job? You already have a job. You're on contract. You're on contract with the Mother Earth to be who you really are and to reclaim that full definition of what it means to be human beyond how it has been sold to you so far. That's what we like to do for fun on the weekend. Weekends. What are weekends? What a concept. There's no such thing as a weekend when you're really living your truth. So, we've got work to do and to be in integrity with who we really are and to reclaim that full definition of a human being. So spending the time to find out what is the ideal version of yourself. What's the goals of that ideal version of you? And when you discover your goals and when you discover your ideal version of you, checking in and doing the supreme subconscious deep dive into your inner cave of the subconscious to be like, am I within that goal that I've set out, negotiating with anything external outside of me? Or in order to be who I am I being... That's it right there. Am I being? Straightforward. Am I being or am I compromising? Am I setting up a power paradigm of negotiation with something that I believe? Am I setting up a negotiation with something that I believe that then will be represented or manifested outside of myself? Am I setting up a negotiation or am I just being and believing that power of alignment is all that it takes? Power of alignment that is all that it takes. And then, of course, from there, inspired action. From there, inspired action. It takes action because we don't get rid of action. What we recognize as we shift is that there is as we're energy beings working with energy, we have to recognize how energy actually flows and works. Energy in this dimension, and I think across all dimensions, works with current. Energy is currency. I love all the plays on currency. Being current means being now. Being current means being energy, and being currency is also money. So if you want to be current, if you want to be hip and now, you got to be current, which means you got to be energy. So as energy, we understand that energy flows in both a positive and negative force. It's both feminine and masculine. Energy is both. Yes, there is the unity of the two and the transcendent of the two, but energy at its core is oscillating between masculine and feminine. If you look at a battery, it has a positive side and a negative side. One is a male side and one is a female side. Energy flows from masculine to feminine, feminine to masculine. It goes back and forth, back and forth. So as we do our work, we get into that state of alignment. Alignment would be a place of receiving. Alignment is the active state of being in the feminine energies, where you are, again, aligning and receiving and being. And then when you're being, then you switch to masculine and go into the state of doing. So there's the internal process, feminine, and then the external process, masculine. We need both. We still need both. But in the transition to the Aquarian age, we understand what comes first. And you can see it socially right now. What comes first is the feminine. What comes first is the Mother Earth. What comes first is consensual agreements around existence, rather than a top-down system that tells you how it is and you have to play by its rules. Right now, we're receiving the new landscape, and then from our inspired action, we go into masculine, balanced doing. So yeah, and that's the trip. We got to balance. Right now, we're still in the gap. And that can be part of our pain that we're dealing with, is like the rest of the world is not quite there yet. But how do you find your people? How do you stay in alignment with the truth of who you really, really are? So every day, we do our cleansing work. We remove our energy from the pyramid system. We end that internal negotiation so that we can step in full alignment, full being with who we really are. And doing that cleansing work of what we have previously agreed to in ourselves, so that we actually can get to a state where we're actually agreeing with nothing at all. That's quite liberating too. Just because you have the power to agree to what existence might be doesn't mean you have to agree to anything at all. Even when you're in your state of full alignment, you can choose just to opt out of all existence altogether. This is a very participatory existence realm, by the way. And that can be fun too, when you actually give yourself a break from having to choose and realize that not choosing anything is also a choice, and it's within your realm. We often fall into the polarities of like, I've either got to choose the bad thing or the good thing, the left thing or the right thing, the feminine thing or the masculine thing. And it's like, you can actually choose nothing at all. And that's perfectly accessible to you right now. So yes, the theme of this new moon, the eclipse, and I think the theme going forward is being in integrity with yourself. But that requires cleansing, so that, and that's, the subconscious is real tricky. It's real tricky. And that's why I highly recommend long meditation times every day, an hour minimum. To be honest, we got to do an hour minimum every day. Sorry, kids. If I'm going to be strict about something, it's an hour a day. And that I encourage you to make time, whatever the excuses are or whatever struggles you're facing as far as time management. You've got to put in your hour a day. You've got to put in your hour a day to stop the mind in order to listen to the body. Why do we listen to the body? Because the body is the repository of all your previous thinking. Your body is holding all of your previous thinking in motion, emotion, in motion, emotion, in motion, in motion, emotion. So if we want liberation from how it's been done, we check in within ourselves, because it's here in the tissues that this has thought into your body, because the body is this incredible mechanism that gives feedback feeling as to the quality of the vibration of your own thoughts. So that's why we have this feedback system, right? I think one way, I think angry, I get the feeling of angry. Then I say, do I want more of that? Or yes or no? Or I'm feeling love. Do I want more of that? Yes or no? So again, hour of meditation every day. I know everyone's at a different stage in their work. I know a ton of YouTube videos. I know a ton of apps that are out there that say, oh, just start with 5 minutes a day. I'm not going to fucking let you do only 5 minutes a day. I'm sorry. I am sick and tired of holding humanity to beginner status. Boom. I fucking said it. I am sick and tired of holding humanity to fucking beginner status. You're not fucking beginners. Sorry. If you believe in incarnation, you have been here thousands of times, if not millions of times before. You are not beginner status. You come from source. You think source is a fucking beginner? Yes, we're always expanding. Yes, we're always creating new things as creators. This show is going on for a very, very long time, and innovation is happening, but you are not a beginner. So you're doing an hour of meditation, and I will help train you. I will be there with you to help train you on how to do an hour of meditation. But fuck all this beginner shit, okay? It is time for humanity to stop thinking like, wow, am I connected to all of this? The fucking power system that pre-exists would love you to think that you're a fucking beginner. No, you're an ascended master that descended. So all of you all right now are descended masters on Earth with a job to do. Time to get to fucking work, end all the complaining, and build those fucking muscles and transition over to the sixth sun. Yeah, sorry, coach. I'm your fucking dad. I think I'm a pretty hip dad, but I'm telling you, it's time to clean your room. And if we do that, we become the change we seek, and no more complaining. And we get on with the fact that actually no one really is oppressing you. The last place of oppression lives here. And as we go here more and do that work, you better believe those old systems that have oppressed people won't exist because no one's playing there. We're like, what? No one plays that game. Sorry. We've moved on from Scrabble into infinite power. Like that's what's up. Yay. Thank you, Boundless Warrior. Thank you, Rainbow Ruckus. Nice. I'm so glad everyone's here. As we rally into power. So again, remove your energy from the pyramid system. Be in integrity with who you are as we reawaken to the new definition of what it means to be a human being. And we discover what many indigenous people already know is where we really are, what we really are, and what we can do with that alignment. So, the healing that a lot of us Europeans are doing, because when we were conquered 2,000 years ago by the Romans, that's when the initial wound happened that created a lot of perpetual trauma for the rest of the planet, was actually Rome. Rome is a big culprit in Europe amongst the whites who used to be very connected to the earth with our own tribal customs, our own gods and goddesses, and that got wiped out. Our sacred people were killed. And I think that when someone is hurt, like you ever heard that phrase, hurt people, right? Well, when you go back, that started 2,000 years ago for the Europeans. Hurt people. And we went on with a tremendous wound back then as we were cut off from our own connection to the earth. And we went on to cut off that connection for other people. We went on to colonize, and the act of that colonization, as we were denied our access to the earth, we went into creating systems that denied other people access to the earth. And right now, if we want to live, we need access back to the earth. If we want to transition, we need access back to the earth. And that is about you having a real relationship with the earth beyond any sort of nature channel bullshit, Bambi version of a connection to the earth. Your mother is alive. And part of the act that you need to do is to learn how to listen to her again so that you can relearn the language of life. It's time to go to school and get ourselves back on board with how to learn how to listen to her, because she's speaking. And when we can relearn the language of life, then we learn also how to reorient ourselves, reposition ourselves in alignment with life, the sacred directions that are everywhere, the sacred instructions, the 4 directions to your cosmic IKEA kit of alignment. And And again, it's just like, fuck. I guess I'm trying to deconstruct the way nature has been sold to us. Like, nature is that thing you do when you're not busy. Or nature is this, like, just trees and forest animals. Like, yes, it is that, but it's also connecting with the elemental beings. It's connecting with power. It's connecting with the cosmos. And yeah. So all that fun stuff. If you are on YouTube and you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. Give this video a thumbs up. It helps other people find it. And again, hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell to let you know when I go live, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But also you can watch this video on the replay. And much love to my Instagram crew hanging out right now. So any questions? I'd love to hear if anybody has any questions about how they're maybe dealing with, how do they feel who they really are? How does it feel to be in integrity with yourself? As we do all this cool work. Yeah, seeing past the illusion of separation. I love that. You want to get me about to go off. Did you know that everything's touching? Like right now, I'm sitting here in a room in San Diego, but my feet are touching the floor, and that floor is touching some concrete underneath the house, and then that concrete is touching the earth. And so there's this continual touching of things, right? Everything's touching. If you've got space issues, I just want you to let you know, everything's touching right now. So even on a physical thing, the truth is everything is touching. I can prove that physically. And then yes, energetically, everything is touching. And so that is why your vibration matters, why your thoughts matter. The quality of your thoughts matter. The quality of the care that you're giving yourself matters, because all of that is touching and going outwards. So when we say there is no separation, the opposite of to separate is to join. That means everything is one. So if we're not separated, that means we're one. And when you do, if anybody's done deep medicine work, you've seen that oneness where the quality there, your thoughts really aren't private. They are not private. And that's why we actually also pick up on energies outside of us, because there's really there's not really a barrier to this oneness thing. We can create more distance when you need it, but in essence, we're swimming in the collective. And, that's why, I salute you in being brave in holding down the energy that you're holding down, because you're staking a new direction. Like I said, mass equals momentum, and there's a pre-existing momentum, and we're going, you know what? We know better, because we're not new here. We're quite ancient. We're quite empowered, and we actually have a lot of authority. That's what I really want to remind you. We all have a lot of authority here. We are equal players in this transition game, and we have a fuck ton of authority that we come with from Source. And really the best way to exercise that authority is to be in alignment with who you are, to be in high integrity with who you are. And that's pretty effective, to let you know. You can march on Washington. You can do whatever you need to on the outside, but doing that first, believe in the power of that. Do not let anyone dissuade you from the immense amount of healing you do for the collective by being who and what and where you really are, as you are, in love and in self-care. So I'm going to wrap it up. I love you so much. Thank you for joining on Instagram. Thank you for joining on YouTube Live, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please, if I didn't tackle something that has come up for you, send me a DM or leave a comment or question below this video. Tell me, are you doing it? Are you making time to meditate an hour a day? Are you feeling challenged to be in integrity with yourself? And are you finding it easy or hard to do that level of work? All right, kids, I love you so much, and I will see you on Monday. Otherwise, have a beautiful existence, and we'll check in with you soon. Okay, bye.